You see, I have a difficult dilemma. We're just about to go into lunch, which means the food is going to hit the stomach. When the food hits the stomach, the blood disappears from the brain, which means at the moment you're just duh. After lunch, you'll be double duh. Yeah? So I have a choice between duh and double duh. I'll go with duh for a very important piece of information. That's not really politically correct, is it, to say duh? But everybody understands it, even los niños, los pequeños. Yeah? So, what we're going to do, we've looked now, process-oriented consulting, relationship-based consulting, they both work, yeah? They're both instrumental. People have preferences for one or the other. Unfold your arms. And now fold your arms. Unfold them again. And fold your arms. Yeah? And now unfold them again. And fold them the other way around. Can anybody do it naturally? No. Is there anybody in the room who naturally folds their arms both ways? Or do you do it normally one way? I always do it one way. I can do it the other way, but not very. I always have to think about it. My preference is for one type of behavior over another. And this is very, very apparent when it comes to consulting. My own preferred style of consulting is purely relationship-based. Yeah? I find it very difficult to go the process-oriented route. I have tools to help me. Yeah? As an IT person, one can make an assumption that your preference will be to go the process-oriented route, because it will be usual and natural for you. Yeah? And the principle of what we're looking at here is that a consulting methodology needs both of these levels to be taken into account. We're going to look, between now and the next 10 minutes or so, we're just going to look at why it's so important for this piece to be made aware. The awareness of the relationship level is critical. Okay? All consulting practices begin here. Yeah? Okay, so when you walk into a meeting room with 12 people there and you say, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm your IT consultant, I'm happy to be here, my job is to save the world, or your job is to save the world, and I'm just going to moderate and facilitate the process, and I will be your consultant for this topic over the next 3, 4, 5 months. Yeah, that's the level of seriousness that this topic could actually command. When you start speaking about the topic, you will be speaking about being here. Yeah? Where are you going? This is easy. If we're here at the moment, we're going there. Yeah? And so the topic of consulting is the topic of moving people from an image of where they are at the moment to where they want to be. Unfortunately, the line is never straightforward. Normally looks like this. Yeah? Yeah? This is the general way that people will go. And that's the reality of any large change process, is that even if the direction and the goal is clear, the way to get there is the need for the consulting process itself. But we are here and we want to get here. So we're from here to there. Now there is a principle of consulting that says in order to understand where we are, we need a great level of awareness, a huge level of awareness from a number of different levels. It's Kubra, there is no point in you being aware of your own situation, because you can only understand what you can understand. The only way that you can gain knowledge about yourself is to see how other people view your situation, how your situation is viewed from different perspectives. So it's even most people will not even be able to look objectively at their own situation. For most people, this simple level of self-awareness is something that is very challenging. The next stage from moving from here to there is another step away completely. This has been described in a number of different ways, but the way that I really quite like is the description of moving from where you are at the moment into the person, the entity, or the organization that you want to be. So it's understanding versus the status of the person that you can become in the future. The volume is dead on that, isn't it? Yeah? So, what do we do? Yeah? A level of self-awareness is a very interesting principle because it's affected by a lot of different sides. It's affected by what we think of the situation, what they think of the situation. It's affected by the past and the future. And it is necessary within the initial phases of consulting to throw away all of your prejudice, to throw away all of the history and the past, to throw away all of the future and the worry and people's wishes and desires, and simply to observe phenomena and current situation and what's going on. Yeah? So this all sounds a bit esoteric, right? Does it sound a bit heebie-jeebie? It does to me, and I'm saying it. And it is. At a certain level, you will find that behavioral-based consulting sounds uncomfortable because it addresses topics that we would maybe not rather look at. Yeah? So let's look at it in a slightly more structured process. This theory is called the U theory, and it was developed by a guy called Fritz Glasel and his colleagues many years ago. And it addresses the topic, if an organization is going to go through fundamental change, which is going to have a big impact, then how should this organization start thinking about the change that it's going to go through? The first stage would be to say, how do processes and workflows function? What are the various instruments and resources that are currently being used? Okay? So that's very much over here, right? This is a process-oriented perspective of what is currently going on. So, the second stage is understanding the social subsystem, right? How are the functions, management and roles distributed across the organization? So up here we've got processes and workflows. What happens? How does it happen? Without people. Yeah? So how does everything work? What are the workflows? What are the instruments that are used to move these forward? What are the resources that are used to move these forward? But this is all about the process. It's all about the job. It's all about the task. Now we move into the social subsystem. All of these things are performed by people. Which people are they performed by? How do these functions and managements and roles work and interact with each other? How are they distributed across the resources that are there? And what do those resources think of each other? Yeah? Which is a very interesting question. We're moving now very much into the relationship-based principles. Yeah? From here, we go inspirational and cultural values and rules and policies. How and why do things happen? That needs a little bit of clarification. So, first step, understand the processes, understand the jobs. Second step, link these to the people. Answer the people question. The people question. Who does the work? How is it distributed? Roles and responsibilities. Third question, why does it happen? Yeah? Inspirational and cultural considerations. What are the values of the organization? What rules are in place to govern what happens? What policies have been put into place? And answering the question, how and why do these things take place within the organization? Yeah? So where is this? Yeah? Well, this is now a mixture of these two things. Policies, for example, could be viewed up here, but the why and the how things happen could be very much a relationship-based piece. Okay? Any questions there? So, is this what we want? This is the bottom of the U theory. This is the U of the U theory. Is this what we want? Because this is what we've got. Yeah? And this is a fundamental question. I'll be very honest. Your whole consulting career could end right here when you ask this question. There could be a huge amount of work in developing this level of information. We'll show you how to do this afterwards. Yeah? But this is a critical question. Is this actually what we want? Yeah? You could ask this question up here. For sure you could. You could get an answer to it. And it may be the same answer that you get down here. But the process of change needs to take all of these behavioral and process-driven things into account in order to get them moving in your direction. As a consultant, your role in this change process is immaterial. It does not matter. You are simply a conduit or a facilitator of the energy that is moving through a particular group of people. Now I'm really sounding esoterical, right? Well, let's say that again. Your opinions do not matter. As a consultant, your only job is moving or allowing a group of people to move along a particular line of energy. Is this what we want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to be? At the moment, you are so strong. You have the capacity to be so strong. Is this what you want? Do you want to grow into this person? Do you want your organization to stretch into that capacity? Do you want your processes to be able to run those particular jobs? This is where we are. This is the picture and the vision of where we want to be. So I know it sounds a little bit strange, but this is effectively the route that we're moving down. It is quite a, it is a fundamentally person and personal driven direction that we're going. And I think the analogy is very important. When you're faced with a group of people, they have energy, yes or no. Your job is simply allowing them to move through that level of energy and along that level of energy and guiding that energy through a few questions. And these questions are going to be instrumental in getting them to decide, do we actually want to change? Yeah, because change is painful, right? Does anybody here like change? I know you all say yes, and that's fine. It's diplomatically correct to say, yes, I like change. I know that if you were given a new job interview for a new job and the guy said, so, how do you approach the topic of change? You would say, oh yes, change is good. Everybody needs to be able to change. Change, I do change well. Change, I address change really well. But it's nonsense and it's rubbish. People do not like change. Yeah? Okay, IT people like change more than other people, perhaps. But the reality is that if you don't need to change, you won't. The only thing that likes change is a baby with a dirty nappy. You hear that? A baby with a... Mind you, my son is called Max. When he was a baby, he's a big baby. And so we called him Smiles, because he was always smiling. But then when he needed to go to the loo, he'd kind of stop smiling, and then he'd disappear. He'd disappear. All of a sudden, we'd be saying, where's Max? He'd disappear. He'd go somewhere, and he would do his big poo. And so sometimes you'd be looking at him for 5 minutes, and then you'd kind of go behind a door or something, and Max would be sitting there, yeah? And and he'd look at you, and all of a sudden he'd go, and he didn't want to be moved, yeah, because he did not like his nappy to be changed. When he did that big poo in his nappy, he was there for the duration. He just wanted to sit and enjoy the experience, right? I can empathise, right, as an Englishman. You know, I think we're into this kind of thing, maybe a little bit more than other cultures, but most of the time babies want their nappies to be changed. Adults do not appreciate the prospect of change. Some people deal with it better than others, but we're going to be going into an area where I think it's fair to say that the majority of people in this room, or not in this room, but in the rooms that you're going to be speaking to, you've got 10 people in the room, 9 of them are going to say, is this change really necessary? Right? And this is why this process exists. Yeah? The next stage in moving up is we have understood the status quo on inspirational culture. What values do we have? What are the rules that we have and policies? Why do things happen? Then we've asked the question, is this what we want? The organisation says, no, this is not what we want. This has got us to the place where we are. This is here, but we want to move there. This is where we want to go. So we need to change. How are we going to change? There is no point in jumping up the ladder too quickly and start thinking about little jobs. You have to approach it from, firstly, what are the future values and guidelines that are going to be followed? Yeah? What are the future values and guidelines? 25 years ago, when you went for a job interview, you went for a job, you were really nervous, and I hope I get this job. Yeah? And they say, would you like the job? And you say, yes. Fantastic. 10 years ago, you went to the job, they say, would you like the job? And you say, yes, but where am I going to be in 10 years from now? What's my possibility of advancement? And the interviewer is saying, huh? I haven't even given you the job yet. Yeah, but if I accept the job, do I have the potential to grow? And they're saying, do you want the job or not? And 10 years ago, people were saying, well, no, not unless I know where it's going to take me. Consider the difference of accepting a job 25 years ago and 15 years ago. There's absolutely different worlds. The expectations of an organisation are much higher. Today, I was just speaking to an HR consultant the other day. He said, we had this person in the room for a job. They were saying, you're the perfect candidate. Would you like the job? She said, well, I'm not sure yet. Firstly, I need to understand where I'll be in 10 years from now if I stay with you, if I give you my investment of time. And they said, okay, that's fair. You know, we need to show where this person can grow to and achieve. So they did that. And then they said, so we've answered that question. Now, would you like the job? She said, not yet. Firstly, I need to understand your values and your principles and what you think of the environment and what your sustainability plan is. And they said, are you being serious? She said, yeah, that's what I need as a person today. So the world is changing and expectations of organizations are changing. The U theory says, firstly, understand the way the work is at the moment. Secondly, understand the social subsystem of how that work is performed by the organization and the people in it. Thirdly, how is this affected by the inspirational and cultural values of the organization? What are the values and rules and policies that drive us? How and why do things happen? And then the big question, is this what we want? If the answer is no, then what should future values and guidelines look like? Yeah? What are the impact? Then, what is the impact on new functions and roles going to be? Which means we're now going to create a vision of the future organization from a behavioral and people-oriented and relationship-oriented perspective. Then we are going to develop future processes, facts and phenomena of the future organization. Now we're going to put the nuts and bolts together. We're going to start creating the processes, the key performance indicators, the service level agreements that will get it all sorted out. So, the principle of the U theory looks like this. You have to go like this. What most people do, what most people try and do, is try and do this. A, B. A lot of people will try and jump from here to here. No, no, that's right. So, this theory is very, very old. Old, I mean, 30 years, I think, has it been in existence. And there are 3 levels of consulting theory that we look at today. This is the first. This is the last. The principles of here to there, which are 2,000 years old, yeah, have been expounded and expanded on in work done by a number of different consultants today. And a lot of experiential consulting movements is moving very much in this direction, which means a lot of discussions, a lot of consulting discussions internally are spending more and more investment on this basic principle. We are here, we need to go there, how do we do this? Yeah? And so behind this, and what we'll look at after lunch, are the attitudes and behaviors that we need to do in order to move from here to there. And we will look at a consulting model called the Decision 8, which is a pragmatic one for the use of the demand management function in addressing and approaching consulting topics.